I'll hit recording, and welcome everyone to the CEO webinar. As you can see, I've got Lily joining me today. It's going to be complex. We've got videos and slideshows and all sorts of fun. So rather than outside broadcasts and remote links, they've challenged me today to see if I can manage the whole thing on my own. But let's commence first of all by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which our sites stand, the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung, the Boon Wurrung and the Bunurong people of the Greater Kulin Nation. And we pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Western Health are also committed to healing of country, working towards equity in healthcare and health outcomes, and also the ongoing journey of reconciliation, and wholeheartedly commit to supporting and respectfully listening Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as they continue their journey towards self-determination. To start with today, I want to say a massive thank you for everybody's efforts during what has been an incredible July. For anyone doing dry July, I'm sure it was an incredible challenge, but as well as those doing that, we've had a massive demand month in terms of our services. There's been incredible activity through all parts of the service, but equally we've gone live with mental health services, justice health services, and we threw in an EMR just to add some more entertainment to the fire. So, you know, a mammoth month is the way to describe it, I think. I've never seen a July like it. But a huge thank you to everyone that's been involved and supported all of those initiatives to ensure that we continue to provide the best care to our communities we can. And obviously, all of those changes will make a significant difference to the healthcare that we can provide to our community, both now, but importantly for the future. I thought today I'd sort of change the order around a little bit and start with the wellbeing piece. Because of that huge July, our colleagues in people, culture and comms have been a bit busy trying to find ways to help support staff wellbeing, but also to acknowledge and thank people for all of that engagement and effort that people have put in across what has been a huge month. We've had the jam donut stalls back, so hopefully people were able to take advantage of a few donuts. And I know, having seen some of the lines around some of our sites, they were pretty popular. And I know some of my exec colleagues were also out and about at night time distributing donuts to staff out of hours. There's seated massages available throughout July. I know they're on site at Footscray today. I've heard a few overheads about that. But the 5-minute massages that are available will be here to the end of July. So if you want some details of where they are in the next 3 to 4 days, then check the weekly wrap because all the details are in there. And also, I'm pleased to announce the fact that the Lort Smith Animal Hospital will continue to bring their therapy dogs for visits to staff across the campuses again towards the end of this month and support that. So that's great too. In terms of organisational updates, I thought I'd start with the OVA conference that Western Health put on, and not just any OVA conference. It was an international OVA conference on occupational violence and aggression. And we were able to showcase our staff safety program of Predict, Prevent, Priority Safety. We had about 300 delegates attending from across Australia. We had almost every jurisdiction apart from New South Wales represented, and nearly all of the health services across Victoria were in attendance, which was great because we were able to put on a full day conference for just over 300 delegates to actually show how we can influence and put on OVA programs at Western that will help support and protect staff. We're also trying to make sure we could share practice and learn from others. So there was people in that delegates from across industry, different sectors, and also how we could showcase ourselves as Western Health to try and sort of show the work that we've done and acknowledge the great work that staff and the leadership group within the teams have been done. And now the challenge is, can I actually get the video to work that will show you a wee bit about the day? So bear with me while I find that. And hopefully this works.
So now it's time to officially open the conference.
I'm very keen to hear and learn about what are you doing in your organisations, in your sectors, what works, what's the sticking points, how can we improve and learn together?
I've stood tall for my people for 35 years and I will continue to do so.
Giving autonomy to staff at the front line.
We also have some new tools that we've developed into the EMR that they can use.
You know, what we say to ourselves during those moments.
I'm so pleased to learn that industry leaders in Australia are coming together to discuss occupational violence and aggression.
These were alarming and traumatic situations for the people involved.
We wanted to normalise our norm in ED when it came to occupational violence.
It's within those contexts that some of those interactions can go awry.
It's that environmental considerations around what the risk is and how you might be at risk in that environment.
But it's been proportionate, and I think we've been responding to what our staff have been telling us.
This is our next step. Our characters have to come to life, and we're going to have to take blood pressure, and we're going to pick up a torch.
I think health equity is one of the most pressing challenges of our time.
Thank you mainly to you for your interest, for the questions that you've asked, the discussions that you've started today and no doubt will continue to have.
So sorry you missed the beginning of that. It was only Harrison having a chat, so you didn't miss much. Got me live and direct today anyway, but a massive thank you to the whole team. You'll have seen some familiar faces on there from around Western Health. I would want to say that whilst Danny was doing her best to injure Peter, no security staff were injured during the filming of that video or actually on the event live. But it was great that so many of the Western Health staff could showcase the work that we're doing. And also some of the new tools of virtual reality training that we're developing to bring to you shortly. So a massive thank you to all the staff that were involved in presenting, in putting on the event, and she'll hate me for saying it, but a huge thank you to Susan Negro, who is unflappable in an event space, doing all the hard work behind the scenes. So thank you to all. In regards to mental health, as mentioned earlier, the 1st of July was a watershed moment for Western Health, and we actually became a mental health service, gazetted accordingly and set forth. So we now have a community, a full complement of services that we can provide with the inclusion of that additional mental health piece. So we transitioned in just over 600 plus staff on a second past midnight. And that includes both staff from the former Northwestern Mental Health in the Midwest area, but also a small number of staff from Mercy Mental Health that support Footscray ED and Footscray through liaison psychiatry. I'm looking forward to getting out and about and meeting as many people as I can through what has been a hectic transition period. But it's great to be able to say that we now have mental health staff on board. They all hopefully feel very much part of Western Health and are wearing all of their badges and are part of our service team. And I have seen a number of the mental health staff in the ED when we went live there. So it's great to be able to provide that support to our community. It's also great to acknowledge the great work the transition team have done in a relatively short space of time to make the transition as seamless and as successful as it has been. And two of our transition team members, Grace Crow and Liv Cremona-Belitzer, hope I pronounced that right, Liv, have been asked to present at the Asia Pacific Australian College of Health Service Management Conference and Congress in October on how we went about it, how there was engagement, and what steps we've took to do that and apply and share all the learnings we did. So, massive thanks to Grace and Liv, but to Paula and the whole team that have done that work across the piece, and good luck in October showcasing our events. Dame Phyllis Frost also went live on the 1st of July. We became a correctional healthcare provider. And as many may know, it's the only metropolitan prison for women in the Melbourne area, but it's also the only high secure or maximum security prison in Victoria for women. Again, at midnight, the work began, and pleasingly, all of the planning work that happened meant that the start of the service went incredibly well, and we now have more than 80 staff involved in delivering the services in that prison. Key to that are general practitioners, registered nurses, enrolled nurses, Aboriginal liaison officers, addiction medicine and drug specialists, and a whole range of other clinicians like pharmacists and dentists and support roles. We also are doing a lot in the allied health space, and we are offering a 24-hour on-site nursing service, on-call medical support, and integrated care planning, with the aim as making sure we can do as much preventative healthcare for these women as we can, because they're a pretty marginalized group who've not had great access to healthcare. So we've had some incredible feedback thus far from those women in the prison about the services they're now having access to. And one woman said it's the first time she'd seen a GP in about 20 years. So an awful lot of health promotion, health prevention work going on. into that community. We're able to also offer mammogram services and a whole range of other diagnostic stuff that hitherto women are telling us they didn't have. So, you know, I'm really, really pleased to say that we're able to provide that service to people that hitherto couldn't access those, and we can hopefully work to improve those health outcomes and also make it a better place. We can give, you know, great service. We can give equitable access to healthcare. And importantly, we've had feedback already from those First Nations people in the prison that are identifying that they feel supported, listened to, and cared for by Jordan and his team in that Aboriginal Health Liaison space. So it's culturally safe and supportive. And those comments are really heartening that, you know, we're really living those values of best care. And again, a massive thank you to the team involved in running that service, but especially to Kirsty and Paul, so Kirsty Barnes, Paul Layden, who stepped above and beyond to give a massive amount of work in that transition in the run-up and then straight afterwards in the go live. And John and I were both able to go out to the prison on the Sunday and thank the staff personally. I think it was John that he set off a code black in the prison, not a code black, the other way around, a code grey or a code blue, which was a whole heap of activity that went on. The prison went in a lockdown. So we skirted out the way very quickly, but soon order was restored. But during the lockdown for prisoners, there was also a code black, which in our language is a code blue. So our healthcare staff had to race off to deal with that. So a pretty good and graphic example of how hectic that environment is. But the staff love it and it's a great service to provide. So a massive thank you. New Footscray, we are continuing to build the hospital. You'll see it on the horizon. It's kind of that way from the hospital. It is huge. We're now just under 2 years. It's about 2 years and 1 month from go live. So we are rapidly approaching the fact that it will be finished in terms of the external part of the building. The internals are already underway and will soon be taking occupancy of the hospital. Many of you will know that we've just appointed a new project director in Sarah Simmons, who's joining us shortly. I think she commences on the 14th of August from memory. But I also want to pay a particular tribute to Mel Shackle, who, when Rob departed us, took over as the acting project director, has done a huge power of work to make sure that Footscray continue, but also has been intimately involved at the same time, which is absolutely unique, I think, in healthcare generally, irrespective of jurisdiction, that we're running 2 PPP processes at the same time. So Mel has been involved in a huge amount of work getting Melton ready to go to RFP, which is the request for proposal, which is now launched. And she's been organising all the integrated tender workshops. So a massive thank you to Mel for doing a power of work selfishly and selflessly in that period. So, you know, I just want to acknowledge that. There's also going to be a new Footscray specific briefing, which will be next Wednesday at 2 p.m. So you'll get to see some, you know, footage, I hope, of what's happening on site and some of that sort of bits and pieces. So look out for that one and the links to that too. Accreditation is coming. We don't know when, but it will be before the end of this year. It'll certainly be before the end of November is my sense. And we will, as we've said before, only receive notification on the Thursday, 5 o'clock, for a survey commencing on the Monday. So we've had a lot of work happening. We've done some mock surveys. I know a number of staff spoke to the mock surveyor. We've got a number of improvement plans in place as a result of that mock survey. And whilst it wasn't a comprehensive review, the surveyor was incredibly complimentary of the work that staff were doing, of the enthusiasm, which always comes out in these accreditation visits, of the staff they talk to, the breadth of work going on, and just that sheer commitment to best care. So I think, you know, it was a really positive message from the mock surveyor. Yep, work still to do, but across the board, you know, great work. So thank you. And, you know, we will continue to keep you appraised of how that happens. And when we know, we'll tell people as soon as we can. Blimey, I'm exhausted by just that bit, and we still haven't finished. So now, Lily, you've been sat quietly and patiently. I guess it's time to hand on to your good self, because we're going to talk about EMR and EMR Go Live. And obviously, we've just gone live with phase 2.1. That means our EMR footprint is now across our intensive care units, both Sunshine and Footscray, our emergency departments across Sunshine, Footscray, Williamstown, all of our theatres, with the exception of Bacchus Marsh, newborn services, oncology, which covers day onc, radiotherapy, and Sunbury day oncology, and also our specialist clinics. And I know we haven't finished yet. There's still continuing 24-hour support. Lily, there's a couple of questions I've got for you to start with to help you load it in before you do your presentation. But how are we going? What remains to be done? And also, you've brought your crystal ball along. What's the future hold in terms of our EMR journey and what's next on that sort of, what do you call it, roadmap? So as our Director of Digital Health, Lily, I'm going to hand on to you to answer some of those easy questions, and then you can run through the presentation. So thank you.
Thanks, Russ. I think we've got some slides. I've got some photos to share and some roadmap conversations. So I'll kick it off. But like you said, how we're going, you can see from all the pictures we have, the thumbs up and the smiles, that we're actually doing pretty well. While our work is still not done yet, and there are some areas that needs further attention, overall, it has been a fantastic experience to witness how well everyone has embraced the changes and how staff have quickly picked up the new ways of working. One of the experience that I had during the Go Live week, visiting all the clinical areas, was seeing when someone fully understands and appreciate the new aspect of a new functionality and gets really excited and share with their colleagues. I think that level of teamwork and collaboration across the organization is truly inspiring, and our super users played a huge role in that. Last week, we had the opportunity to host some teams from our colleagues, Northern Health and Barwon Health, who came and witnessed our Go Live in action and learned from our experiences for their own future EMR implementations. They were very impressed with the extensive planning that we had in place, but also the high level of support available during our Go Live. There was a lot of Blue Tots people around when we took them around as well. And like I said before, and Russell mentioned it as well, we could not have achieved what we did without our dedicated super users. There were over 1,000 of people who put their hands up to be upskilled to support their colleagues throughout the Go Live. And we really want to thank you all for doing that. We're so proud of this group and talented people as well. There's also a very big thank you to the digital health team who's been working on this for the last 4 years, and a huge thank you to the teams across Western Health who provided a considerable amount of support in the leading up to Go Live and throughout the Go Live period. This includes not limited to, for example, our clinical divisions who's been busy prepping for the organization leading up to Go Live. Our digital technology services were supporting us during Go Live period as well. And our biomedical engineering team who's been busy connecting the devices and supporting Go Live. Our best care coordinators who are looking at wristbands and making sure patients are safe, and a reporting and people services team as well. Now, what's coming up next? We will continue to expand our rollout into the maternity area. Of course, adoption is a huge thing after Go Live and optimization as well. But we also have new functionalities. We have a patient portal, which we haven't released yet, and that will be a very exciting thing for our patients. We have a new dashboard, which will be the first one that we'll be implementing outside of as a general release for Western Health. We will also be rolling out some mobility apps. There are some already in theatre, but there are some going out as well over the next few months. And we'll be turning on mechanical restraints across the organization as well, leading up to the next few months. We're also going to be upgrading our current EMR to the latest version, obviously to protect us from cybersecurity risks, but also making sure we're taking on the latest and the newest functionality.
So Lily, we've gone live literally a week ago, and you're telling me we're already out of date with the version control. What's going on?
There's a lot of things happening in this space. There's always work. And I feel like saying, whilst we're wrapping up Go Live support, things doesn't stop in the EMR space or the digital health space at all. And I was just about to say that, our colleagues at Bacchus Marsh and Melton have patiently waited for their EMR as well. And I'm really pleased to say that we're about to kick that project off and basically, expand that and get a quick Go Live for them as well. And they will be getting the phase 1 and the phase 2.1 scope as well.
So come on, Lily, don't keep our colleagues at Bacchus Marsh and Melton in lieu. What do we reckon they're going to get it on in terms of, when do they likely get the EMR footprints?
Well, we're trying to aim for early next year. A lot of them is depending on delivery of devices, surprisingly. But basically, we're looking at the earliest possible time to get them onto the new footprint so that staff working between 2 sites or multiple sites can actually use the same system. And I think that's really where everybody will appreciate it a bit more.
So we got March. We're gonna nail our colours to the mast and say it might be March 24, or I'm not going to be able to draw you on a date. Is that what you're telling me?
I think you're very close, Russell, very close on that.
Okay.
But also on that though, you know, you mentioned your first grade hospital and we're planning on that piece of work as well. While the hospital is 2 years away, a lot of the technology stuff needs to happen sooner and there will be a lot of testing next year as well. So we need to kick off that piece of work already. And there's many more that's in the pipeline, but these are the big ones. And also looking a bit further ahead, we also wanted we don't want to forget our community services and the VANA reporting and all that stuff as well to bring into the EMR. And we also want to be looking at comprehensively bring all the administrative and the clinical workflows into our EMR, which is replacing our patient administration system. We talked about mental health merging into Western Health now. We also want to expand EMR to mental health as well, and our renal dialysis and our community services. So there's a lot going on in our roadmap, and you know I can talk about that all the time, all day. But here's some more photos. Any questions for me, if anybody has any?
So basically, EMR's not finished for a long time, Lily, is what you're telling me. There's still more work to be done and more coming.
No, we'll be going on for quite a while. I'll stop sharing now. Yes.
Thanks, Lee. And as you say, happy to take any questions. Happy to take questions on anything, really, if staff have got them. If you use the Q&A box, that probably is going to be easy to curate. So, you know, thank you to you, Lily, and your team. There was a few good-looking roosters in those photos, and the team did a great job. And as you say, the blue shirt Smurf army was very prevalent. And we had, during the go live, we hosted I think his title now is Executive Chairman of Oracle Health, David Feinberg, the Senior Vice President of all things non-America. They came around for a visit. And Paul Busso, Theatre Numb at Sunshine, gave them a graphic example of what the EMR will bring when he opened up 2 cupboards and said, this is all the paper I'm now not going to use, but this is my now active downtime box. So I think that photo has now appeared all over the world, Paul, so well done. But very entertaining. And we also, as you said, had Northern and Barwon on site watching the go live and learning lessons and sharing. So yeah, massive team effort. So well done to you, Lily, and the team for putting together a seamless go live, which was fraught in the weeks up to it, but it went remarkably well when we went. So thanks for all the planning and prep. So any questions from any staff online, if you've got any? No, there you go, Lily, easy one. So, you know, no questions on EMR. Everyone's kind of, you know, relieved that you're going to keep going and keep putting more functionality in. Watch this space for more info, I guess.
Absolutely.
But, you know, everyone wants more modifications yesterday and they want it quickly. So, I know Cameron McBride will be a bit stressed now. The change freeze is almost coming to an end. So there'll be all sorts of stuff to do around all sorts of different things. So plenty going on. Okay, no questions. So I'm going to say a massive thank you for colleagues that can see it or watch later. Let me know what you think of the new background. Answers on a postcard. There you go. You just nicked in before the end there. Someone's asking, how long will the Slack support be available for, Lily, in relation to the go live or gone live and sort of almost BAU?
Thanks, Russ. I think that's a really good question, Michael. We would likely to keep Slack running until mid-August because we still support outpatients for a further 2 weeks after the end of the 24/7 support. And because of the positive feedback that we've got so far from super users, we might look at a capacity to keep it running for a little bit longer. We want to continue to use that group to engage a massive amount of super users to support them to the projects that I've just shown you. To continue to support that. So that's the long-term plan for that.
Okay, thanks, Lily. And as you say, we've still got some go live support around our outpatient departments. We've still got a little bit of the 24/7 command bit, and all the other things will start to taper off. But that on the elbow or at the elbow support is around for a few more weeks in outpatients, particularly.
And we've got BMM coming, so I think we wanted to keep the super users very super for the next few months and engaged so that we can get BMM into a smooth transition as well.
There you go. So no pressure to our super users, but more support needed, please. So don't go and run and hide is the message. As I say, no more questions. So thanks, Lee, for all your work, for the presentation, for the sort of highlight of the roadmap to come and what's on the list. It's a pretty hectic agenda still in the digital space. Massive thank you to all staff for the great efforts you put in over July and ongoing. We'll continue to do that work. Thanks to all for the OVA. It was great to be able to showcase Western Health for the great work and blow our own trumpet. We often don't do that enough. We're just too busy getting on. But the feedback and the commentary from many of the organisations present was that we're doing amazing work and that you all should be incredibly proud of everything that you're doing. So massive thank you. And I'm going to pinch a line from Mary and Kenna to finish on. It's been a busy month. It continues to be very dynamic, but please continue to be kind to each other. That's the only way we're going to get by, is by supporting each other to support our communities. So a massive thank you. All the best. Keep well.
Yeah.